Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croydragon and welcome back to Vox Adventures. Yeah, this is going to be a shorter one since it's coming later in the day. Why? I woke up this morning and I just turned off my alarm and went back to sleep. And God, I wish I hadn't. The dream I had, I dreamt I was on the set of Jim Carrey's Grinch. Yeah, I could have done I could have been doing a 2.5 hour recording this morning of Vox Adventures. But no, I just had to go back to sleep. Yeah, so how are we all doing? Yeah, so how are we all doing? I ended up buying a copy of Oppenheimer yesterday with my Walmart gift card. Watched it yesterday, very good movie. Kenneth Branagh, my favorite actor, was in it. Good job, good job. And Robert Downey Jr., he was fantastic as the main antagonist. Well, of course, Kenneth Branagh always gives the best performances. I mean, after all, he is Laurence Olivier's successor as... Oh, for God's sake. As the best actor in the English-speaking world. So with this one being a half-hour long, it's basically going to be back to how things will be for a while until, you know, next time I get a day off. No, I went back to the planning document of a Northern I want to write. For those of you who aren't aware, Northerns are to Canada and Alaska what the Western is to the United States. I was gonna set it post Northwest Rebellion, you know, 34 years after that. Have it be in 1919, but with one of the themes of the Northern being possible the anxiety over annexation, anxiety due to the possible annexation by the United States, I figured set it post-American Revolution, post-War of 1812, and sure, that was already the case with the original story, but I don't know. I wanted to do something before the typical stuff that Northerners are typically centered around. Before the Gold Rush. Before the Northwest Rebellion. Before the Black Donnelly's murder. You get the idea. So I decided for an 1817 setting. So 34 years after the American Revolutionary War, and obviously it's after the War of 1812 also. Where the hell am I? For God's sake, that doesn't give me anything. How the hell do I get out of here? Ah, there we go. Hold on. Oh! Well, that's one way to get back. One famous example of the Northern, two actually, would be The Call of the Wild and White Fang, both written by Jack London. Another example that you can find on television is When Calls the Heart. But of course, with the general setting of those ones, yeah, definitely wanted. Well, they're pretty much. Well, Call of the Wild is obviously set during the Gold Rush. Can't remember when White Fang is set, but it's definitely. Well, not around those times. Well, it might be. It might be a bit post Gold Rush. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've read it. What is it? Post Gold Rush, around that time. Anyway, it's a lot of the Northerns I see. Yeah, a lot of them are, you know, in that general time period. In fact, some even dealing with the October crisis of the 1970s. 1970? Well, you get the idea. A lot of Northerns have a general 1860s to 1970 time frame. Or was it 1870s? When were the Black Donnellys murdered? But you get the idea. I generally want to do something different. Something not in the traditional time frame of the Northerns. The traditional time period. There was a live action right thing television series in the 90s, which I, of course, have on DVD. It went for a modern setting in the 90s, so of course it was the 90s, and I actually commend it for that, for, in a way, not doing the. I mean, obviously, Right Thing was. Yeah, I can't remember when exactly it was set, but it was set in that typical time, in the typical northern time period. As I said, whenever the Black Donnellys were murdered, 1860s, 1870s, one of those decades, to the October Crisis in 1970, 71, 70, yeah. And what makes it interesting is that this is before the Canada as we know it has officially started. In my case, well, obviously with that Right Thing series, it's it's the 90s. Canada, America, because remember Alaska is also one of the settings for the northern. Yeah, you get the idea. Two other screen um yeah, where was I? Two other screen examples of Northerns. You have Balto and Togo, both dealing with the Gnome Serum Rush. And again, it's that general time period because that was in the 1920s. And again, pointing to, the typical things that the Northern deals with. Black Donnelly murders, yeah, I said it before, and to the October Crisis, so yeah, a lot of Northerns, they're in that general time period of the 1860s or 1870s to the 1970s. Yeah, I just want to do something different. Because let's face it, Klondike Gold Rush stories, they're legion. Northern set in that general time period are legion. I don't want to write another Legionnaire, however you want to put it. Let's see what's this way. Anyway, it's a lot like Robin Hood. I mean, yeah, people today, they think Robin Hood, yeah, whose reign do they think? They think Richard Coeur de Lions, a man who, even if most of his reign had not mostly been consisted of military activity, his reign would not have had him in England for the majority of it. Yeah, it's just weird, because let's look at the facts. Court of the Angevin Empire was primarily held in either Angers or Chinon, both in France, and Richard viewed the Duchy of Aquitaine as his home, also in France. Now, the original ballads make reference of a King Edward with no specific mention of who this is supposed to be. Now, our friend Tony Robinson believes that it was Edward II of England. And not to be confused with Edward the Martyr, the actual second English king to be called Edward. They didn't actually use, the numberings were actually used for okay, let me explain. The Saxon kings who are named Edward are Edward the Elder, Edward the Martyr, and Edward the Confessor. The post-Norman conquest kings are the ones who used, are the ones that the numberings were applied for. So, due to various clues in the first ballad, Tony Robinson believes that the King Edward of Robin Hood was actually Edward II. Who would be Richard's, let's see here. Let's see here. His great-great-nephew. Richard's great-great-nephew. And unlike Richard, he would have actually been in England more often. Now, there have been stories with different settings. Sherwood by Park Godwin is set immediately post-Norman conquest, so instead the king is William the Conqueror. The King Raven trilogy by Stephen Lawhead is set during the Norman invasion of Wales, so the English king is William II, the son of William the Conqueror. And we've had some other settings. We've had some modern settings, yeah, you get the idea. And personally, as I want to write, in essence, an Irish Ivanhoe at some point, I'm thinking 1762, set it during the reign of George III. No, wait, that's not the idea I had. That's the old idea. Last night I decided on 1714. 61 years after the Cromwellian conquest of Ireland. What did I say? 71? No, 61 years after. The idea being to set it during the Regency after the death of Queen Anne. So the king in question would be George the First. George Ludwig, as he was called back in Germany, and as he still is called in Germany, I believe. I don't know, I just like an 18th century setting. Yeah, I at one point considered a Canadian setting set at post conquest of New France, since typically I write from a Canadian perspective, but typically my protagonists are also Gaelic, Irish, or just plain Irish in origin, much like myself. What will the setting be? Oh, I don't know. What would the setting have been? Specifically, besides post-conquest of New France? You know, I really haven't a clue. Let's see here. List of regions. Oh heavens, no. During the Regency? Oh, I think not. That would be awful. And of course, the Regency I am talking about is, you know, the final 9 years of the reign of George III. Yeah, of course, I talk about Robin Hood and there's a bunch of archers waiting for me. Just get back into the house and everything will be alright. Of course, I'll probably be under siege once I wake up. Oh, for God's sake. No, that staying there is a nice offering to zombie mode. Not like I have any idea what to make it as an offering. The flesh of our slain enemies, why not? Here I am sounding like I'm deifying him. I'm such an idiot. Zombie was not a god, he was a man as I am. A human being as we all are. He was not a Heracles. He was not an Asclepius. He was not a Dionysus. Nor was he a Jesus, an Augustus, a Claudius, a Vespasian, or any other case of Roman emperors who were posthumously deified. He was a man. A human being, as we all are. He was our friend and brother. And why am I talking like this? Am I... Good lord, I have no boots. Okay, I'll make boots and then I'll end this. I mean, look at the month, it's January. My dad died in January, my paternal grandfather died in January. Maybe it's my health anxiety and my fear of me being next that's talking. Well, why not? I have enough. And that would be all for today. I'm Brian Croydregan signing out. Stay straight.